Thank you for tuning in to the Nicole Harris podcast. Let me get to the point. I am Nicole Harris, and I have joining me today Khalil. Khalil, thank you so much for joining me. Did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the listeners a little bit about you?
Absolutely. First, Nicole, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast. My name is Khalil Abdul Kareem. I'm founder and CEO of System Fresh Consulting. Also, the creator of Khalil the brand, or my parents were the creators of Khalil the brand, and known primarily in the entrepreneurial community as building businesses, and also for my radical thought with social and political stances, and my approach to being a man of color in this country.
Okay.
So I look forward to our discussion.
Well, thank you so much again, and I welcome you. And I just want to ask a couple of questions to kind of pick your brain to see what your thoughts are on some of the hot issues or topics that's going on right now. And so we know that the biggest topic in politics now is Kamala Harris. She has thrown her hat in the ring for the 2020 election. She is receiving a lot of backlash, primarily because one of her, I heard that she identifies herself as a person of color, that her mother is Indian and her father is of African descent, Jamaican. So I don't I don't know what the problem is there. But I'm pretty sure it'll come more will come out. Um, but also too, basically for her record and how she is perceived and what she's been doing within the Black community, especially towards Black men. What are your thoughts on Kamala Harris so far?
Well, Nicole, I'll be honest with you. Since number 45 has been elected to the presidency, about 6 months after, I've pulled away from politics a lot, um, mainly because it's become a three-ring circus. It's embarrassing. I mean, our country
Sure.
operates, as a reality show, and the American people are suffering from it. I have been, I keep my ear to the current news, just so I can have open dialogue with clients and individuals such as yourself. But I'm also very honest when I'm saying, hey, I'm not familiar with Kamala's political record. I'm not
Hmm.
familiar with her as a candidate. I just started to hear the chatter that she has announced that she'll be running. Um, in this and since that's happened, you can't help but to kind of see where the two different sides are. I will say this. I will say um, I try to separate myself from. So let me take a step back. Making decisions based on race is a white man's construct.
Mm.
Anytime someone says you should do this because of this color, I have an issue with that.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't vote for a black man. I voted for Barack Obama, a
Okay.
qualified candidate, right? Um, I didn't vote for a woman. I voted for Hillary Clinton, uh, evil yet career politician, um,
Okay.
who I felt was the best candidate.
Hmm.
It's very difficult for me and I will answer your question, but I just want to preface it by saying it's very difficult for me to have a conversation and discuss a topic on the basis of race.
Hmm.
All that, yeah, I'll still do it. So, but in the back of my mind, I'm just like, when are we going to get away from race, right? So, yeah, I've seen comments and short articles and social media that talks about Kamala is more of a threat to the black man than the Ku Klux Klan, right?
Hmm.
Um, on a larger perspective, um, I think that we as a people like to be black when we're on the downside, but then when we're in the position to make change, we all of a sudden don't care about being black. We just care about the issues or doing my
Mm,
job. I'm just here to do so and so. So, and I'm going to go on a tangent because it's so much bigger than Kamala, and that's how I think. So it's hard for me to just narrow it down to just her. I think she's just the newest indicator of the challenges that we face as blacks in this country. Right?
mm-hmm.
We're always divided. Right? There's a group. Oh, I don't care what she's done. She's a black woman. Get her in office. We need more of us. And then there's just as many people saying, "Oh, she doesn't even consider herself black. I don't care what." And neither one of them understands her track record. They probably don't know what she stands for. They don't know anything. They're just, and I will continue to say that's a white man's construct, right? It's
Mm,
like um, that's the only thing that matters. We don't have the mental capacity to look past the color of your skin, and I'm not going to do that. I do think that just say she became president, it's just like our last president. He didn't make any major changes in the black community, and he's not against the black community. And I think he's probably a very, very strong minded, black minded president. But you're the president. You're a puppet. What can you do? You can't just roll up in the middle of Chicago projects and be like, "We shall overcome." Like that's not his job, right? So she's going to be the same thing. I think we as a people need to understand that it's up to us to lift ourselves up in our day to day, and how we
Good.
function as a people, and stop blaming others or waiting for others. Or Kamala is a woman who's career minded, and she's had obviously an excellent political career, and she wants to take the next step to what she feels she's qualified for, and that's her right. So when people start judging her based on the color of her skin, I can't jump on that bandwagon. So I guess that's a long answer to say I think it's dangerous uh, to vote on the color of someone's skin. And I haven't investigated her enough to know whether she's qualified enough. I do take issue with someone not calling themselves black. However, I still acquiesce to my original position, which is you're entitled to be what you want to be. And I don't care for people judging and telling people what they are. If you want to be a person of color, and you, like I tell people all the time, I'm not a black American minded, right? I'm born in this country, but I don't just walk around limiting myself to black history starting from slavery. So if she's Native American, and she's Native American, and her dad's Jamaican, and she wants to be a person of color because she doesn't want to put in a box, that's up to her. And I think it's very ignorant for people to tell her what she is. I find I really hold issue to that. Just like Tiger Woods, right? Tiger Woods was like, "I'm not black, I'm Asian." People were outraged. I'm like, okay, if that's what you want to be, I'm never going to refer to you as black. So even though I know that he's black, if your daddy's black, you don't want to be black, we don't need you. Um,
Okay.
but hers is not as malicious. So, I'm not angry. I'm just like, okay, you're a person of color. It doesn't matter. She's not a white woman.
Piggyback on what you were saying, you made some valid points about Kamala. I think the one thing that I did have to say about that, I think her track record is not so good. I think a lot of things are coming out on how she has voted while she was in office, and it doesn't look good as especially for Black men, and how she has handle Black men thus far. But my issue is that when people and you made this point, and you made a beautiful point, that when Black people are down, of course they're for the cause, but when they arrive and get to a certain status or position, they no longer need to identify as being black, and the harmful part in that is, especially with Kamala, is that if she is going to try to use those same tactics to and it goes on with politics all the time, to try to use that certain base, especially the Democratic base, that is predominantly where black people vote, to in order to be black, or a sister in order to get the vote from black people yet again, and then get into office, and is politics as usual, or
And then you're
business as usual.
right. You use the black vote, get in the office, and then you're not black anymore. What do you think about blacks' allegiance to the Democratic Party historically?
I mean i, I mean of course it's for it everything is by design, we know that. um but we used to vote Republican, black people, but a lot of things happened and things changed hands. But I really feel like they say, and a lot of people already are saying that people who are put into position, they're appointed, they're not elected. And I do believe that. Sometimes when I vote, I feel like it's kind of with a grain of salt. I feel like that I'm going to do my civic duty to vote, but I kind of feel like, and especially with Trump and these last elections, I really don't feel like it's fair. I really feel like whoever they want to put into office, they're going to put into office
Right,
regardless
right.
of our votes. So if you're asking me, or not asking, I really do not believe in the system. I don't. It's a broken system. I'm not sure yet of how we can fix that when we're already working with the corrupt system. So as far as Democrat, Republican, Independent, I really don't have a lot of faith in any of them. I don't trust any of them, and I don't believe in them. Like you were saying earlier, I really feel like we have to unite as a people and start to figure it out for ourselves. With In the wake of the government shutdown, I hope it allowed people to see that we survived with the government shutdown. We are more than
Right,
capable of doing these things without government assistance. I
right,
really
right.
hope that my community, the black community, will see that we can start to pull together and not have to depend on the government to do anything for us,
Right.
because historically it has done nothing but tear the black family down. We know
Absolutely.
this. And so
Absolutely.
that's in a nutshell, politics is just like to me, because I'll follow it, I'll listen to what people have to say. But really, I think with all of them, they all get out and tell these things, these great stories. And Barack Obama did too. I love the Obamas. I do. But like you said, when you get into office, it's only but so much he could do. It was so many things that we wanted done. But here's what we really need to understand: it takes us coming together. I don't know how many times I have to say or hear this. It takes us coming together and doing it for ourselves. Until we
Yes.
get that concept, things are still going to remain the same. But I'm
Right.
not I don't feel down about it, because I feel like there are people. I don't think it's large groups of people, but I think it's small cells of people who are doing and making those changes. So I feel pretty optimistic about it. But you don't get to
Absolutely.
answer. You don't get to ask the questions.
Hey,
You
I've always
answer them.
respected your insights and
No, I
um,
appreciate that.
out of curiosity, and I love your perspective. I mean, we share the same perspective.
Mm.
Um, even in a lot of our interaction and just back and forth and on topics that whatever popular topics. I think the only difference is you are a self empowered black woman who is leads with intelligence and positivity for your people. And that's probably, I'm everything but a woman, obviously, and leading for humankind, and then acknowledging that we as blacks have a special plight, right? So, um, and it's a very slight difference. It's the same thing with a twist, right? Um, but I think there's no one race, especially the black race, who can do it on their own. We live in America. It's not a one race country. And it's not a one race world. So and this is the problem that 45 is making. When you become a separatist and you ostracize your those around you, you become an island, and you can't protect that island on your own. It can't be the US versus the rest of the world. And
Mm-hmm.
I want the same for blacks, right? Because we we're a watered down version of blacks, but meaning that we're in a country that uh, had a system that's designed to destroy us, and we're fighting against everything. So unless we pull together with global blacks who don't consider themselves black, right? We have to. That's literally the only way. Like, for instance, Ghana, and my mother and I just had a great talk about this. She told me that Ghana has opened its borders to any, I hate this term, but this is how they phrased it, African American who wants to move to Ghana. They'll be set up in
Wow.
like the first year or something like that.
Okay.
Um, and so let's laugh at all the American black folks that are like, ha ha, Africans, I ain't no African. All right,
Mm.
well, this is an African country saying, I'm going to do my share in uniting our people from the African diaspora, right?
Okay.
I don't want to get on a tangent, but that's really how I think, and I'm even more gangster about it since I visited Cuba and really understand how we are as a people globally. That's almost not even a topic worth uh, putting any energy towards, because we know what's going to happen, right?
Right.
Just, I mean, you nailed it. Uh, when you talk about, it's just not fair. People are appointed, not elected. So if she's meant to be in a White House seat, she's going to be there. If the powers that be um, decide that it's better leverage for them to put this black non-black woman in
Mm.
the office, that's where she's going to be. And
Right.
whole shutdown. You made an excellent point, Nicole. Yeah, but we're not, to your point. We're just not affected in our daily lives by high end government, and that's why I try to tell people, when I'm whatever speaking to groups or uh, talking to youth groups, vote on your local level. That's where it all starts.
Mm.
We create a city, create a town that's for you and the people.
Okay.
The president's not affecting me on my daily basis.
And my whole thing is, and you made a point, and I want to speak on that. You said that, and thank you for the comment about me being positive for my community. And then you said Trump is basically trying to work for his community. The two differences I think that I see between me and Trump, or black people who are trying to work for their community and white people trying to work towards their community. I think that we are trying to uplift and bring ourselves from under the oppression of white people. Um, because I believe that, or the facts show that black people were the first people on this planet. It's a scientific fact.
Absolutely.
And I feel that we are, or we, inherited the earth to take care of and be gatekeepers for this planet. I feel like, or I know that, and I don't like to use the word Indian, because I believe that Black people were all over this planet first, and we were in America first, and we were in every other continent first. And because of what has happened, because of slavery, all of those things have now been stripped from us. And the reason why it's imperative that we continue to work on ourselves and get back is because of the state of the that the planet is in now, because we are not in our rightful position. We know
Right.
that things are in chaos because we are not in our God-given position. This is not something that I just sit here and make up and come up with. This is something that's known to be true, because now that it's ruled by white people, the greed and the and the wars and all of this strife and everything that is going on is because of them.
Right.
This is not something that is, that's made up, or a lot of people think that I'm trying to be hateful, or I'm trying to. This is a fact. This is indeed what is going on. And I think that is why it's so necessary for us to get back to a place to get these things back in order.
Right.
It's not going to get back in order until we get back into our rightful place. And I think a lot of people are not acknowledging that. Um,
I think people don't even have the capacity. I mean, Nicole, what you just said was so mega. I can't even think of a word to describe it. It's, unfortunately, blacks in this country don't even have the capacity to even fathom 10% of what you just stated. They're just now starting to wake up and figure out, oh, there was a life for blacks before slavery. And I
mm,
separate that from our ignorance.
right.
I agree with most of what you said. I think where we differ is once we start to say that our rightful place, or we should be on top, or anything. I don't subscribe to anything, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just opening up a new perspective. Um, I don't subscribe to anything where one group is ruling, right? So when I see T-shirts that say the future is women, the future is female, you know, uh, women will rule. I don't subscribe to that. When I see, black man will conquer, black man shall inherit the earth. Any
Mm-hmm.
of that, I don't subscribe to anything that doesn't suggest unity and people working together. Because to your point, we are all black, and the only reason why the white people are not pigmented is because they spent centuries in the Caucasus Mountains.
Right.
So, and they tried to return to Africa, but by then they were savages. They
Right.
are the true original savage, right?
Right.
But
That's a
where we
fact.
differ, absolutely. But where we differ is I don't focus my efforts on white people. What's against me as a black man in this country is the system. See, the white guy sitting on a train next to me, thinking about me. He doesn't care about the black people that he works with. He just wants to go home, get a good meal, make love to his wife, play with his kids, save up for their college tuition, and retire. So the average white person is not, and it's different in different regions, right? But there's still a small percentage. Um, but it's the
But we
system.
want those same things too, right? We want to be able to do those same things too without worrying about being killed or murdered by the police. We want to, I mean, I don't really think about,
But
regardless
that's
of what
but
people may think, I don't think about white people often, Like I really don't. I really could. I'm not that I don't care less, but the thing is I care about how we are getting to a place where we need to be.
And I think how we combat that is on the ground level. Well, at some point, I will have the platform, and I will be. People understand my motive and what's in my heart, so they get past the delivery, and I will have the platform to speak to Black audiences and say, "Yo, why do you want to be accepted by white people? Why do you care? They half of them don't care about you. They're not even thinking about you. They just want their own life, and the other half of them are entrenched in ignorance. Why are we running around asking for acceptance?" Right? So I separate our history and then what we need to do in the future. What we need to do in the future is very different than trying to get where we were in the past, right? It's a whole different dynamic. So yeah, they are the dominant race, and I don't subscribe to that either. But when people are talking about replacing that dominant race with another dominant something, I'm just not cool with that, right? We live in a global society, and we
But they're
need to
not a
be.
dominant race. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. They're not a dominant race. They're just very good and effective at what they've done as far as colonizing every place. But the
And
thing
therefore,
is what, and the point that I made and I brought up is look at the state of the planet that we're in. That's why we're in dire need to correct what has happened, because we are seeing the effects of what happens because of what's going on currently.
they do dominate. Like, this is a white man's world. Period. Dot. How it happened? That's fine. You say as they colonized. I listened to a speech one time. It was perfectly said. It said, all these things white people do to us, and this has happened. They're talking about things in history and
Yes.
slavery and conquering this and conquering, and they were like, what is the one thing that changed the course of time? If we were kings, and if we had this, and if we ran the world, and if we did this, and we were philosophers and scientists and everything, what is the one thing that changed that? Scratching their head, even me. And you know what? Developing the firearm. That is what changed and put them in a dominant
And
position.
religion. Let's
Is
not leave that out.
and they went and they dominated. They colonized. But with before that, we were the reigning, but we led differently. That's why they're terrified of us now. They think that if they go back, they think if we are put in power, that we're going to treat them the way they treated us. And it's just not in our
Sure.
name. We gave Europeans, we taught them how to bathe, and we taught them
Everything.
irrigation, and we taught them sanitation, diseases. We basically went to Europe that was dying and suffering as disease savages, all of that. So, we're helping loving people that understands our responsibility to the earth. And that's why I agree with you 1,000%. You have very narrow-minded, greedy, uh, white families that run the world, and all they care about is themselves. And meanwhile, the rest of the world, I mean, the shutdown is a perfect example of that. How do you promise something that no one wants, by the way, but you still get appointed? The Mexican government laughs at you. We're never going to pay for that. So you know what you do? You throw a tantrum, you shut down a government, and you penalize the people who you promised something for. That I've never seen anything like it.
Okay, Khalil, I'm sorry we had to cut things short. I know we have so many other things that we wanted to get to and discuss. So you have to promise me that you will come back on the podcast and join me so that we can talk a little bit more in depth about those things. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Nicole, it's been a true pleasure. I think we have a lot to discuss. Um, you and I are like-minded, but we vary just enough to hold some very relevant discussions,
Indeed.
discussions that I think the Black community faces. Right, there's so many layers to how we think as a people, and how, stemming from our background to our upbringing to how we were given history to how we perceive history. So I welcome dialogue like this. I appreciate you having me on your show. Forward to the next time that we get a chance to chat. You can schedule something. I'm more than happy to be back on your show.
Sure, it's my pleasure. We'll be more than happy. Can you tell the listeners how they can get you or reach you or get in contact with you?
Absolutely. You can send me an email at Khalil at systemfreshconsulting.com. That's traditional spelling, Khalil at systemfreshconsulting.com. You can also find me on social media at either at System Fresh for all of social media, or find me a personal underscore the brand on Instagram. And I love entertaining these discussions. So please reach out, let's connect, and we will continue to do better for our people.
Okay, there you have it. Thank you so much, Khalil. And thank you so much for tuning in to the Nicole Harris podcast. Let me get to the point. The more you keep tuning in, the more I'm going to give you the best hot topics that I have. And I'll see you out there. Peace.